This charger behind me has completely failed just after 3 years. And the worst part about it is I used to recommend these to people. And I'm not just replacing it, I've got to take the whole installation out and start afresh. Here's why. Although this charger looks like it's working, it has been fault code after fault code, and unfortunately it is now out of warranty and there's nothing we can do about it. The existing cables could really be reused, but not everyone wants things just to work. Some people want it to look good as well. So all of these cables are coming out and I'm installing the Doncaster Cables EV Ultra, the finest cable out there. Now as it stands, this existing charger has been wired into this Hager consumer unit on this MCB on a split load board on a shared RCD. Now the charger that I'm installing is in fact a Hypervolt, and if you read the instructions it clearly states it needs its own double pole RCD protection, so I'm putting in a new little consumer unit. This also isn't their second EV charger that I'm putting in today, it's going to be their third, and I don't know if you've clocked the clue, but the first charger they ever had, that's the clue there. Let me know in the comments if you know what that charger was. In case you missed it, here's the clue again. The charger I'm replacing it with is a Hypervolt, but it's not just a simple swap out. I have to take out the whole installation and start again. A few years ago, these chargers was the best option on the market, which is why I installed a load of them. They integrated with solar and renewables really well, and no other chargers really offered that. Times have changed, these are failing, and now there's better options, in my personal opinion anyway, because more and more of these I'm seeing fail just when they're out of warranty, which is a real shame because overall, I quite like the Zappi. When I started taking this apart, there was a little bit of a surprise for me. First things first, take off that front cover and unclip that ribbon. And at this point I discovered that the charger was actually over 5 years old, not 3 years old. And you can tell by the inside of this thing how old it is. So actually, all in all, it's lasted pretty well. And one thing I noticed was whoever installed this Zappi, they reused the cabling from the original charger. That box below it is a big clue to what the original charger was. I'm going to get rid of all that and just leave the charger on the front, which will just make it a nice cleaner finish. Once I've disconnected all of these cables, I can pull the cables back through the wall. The next thing I'm going to do is remove the Zappi. There are just 3 screws to undo and then that is it off the wall. You can definitely see that this is an old Zappi. It's even got 2020 written inside there. And it's interesting to see how the enclosure and everything has held up really well for that time period. But the bit that's failing are these parts inside here, which I can't get replacements for. Anyway, this is what I am left with. Job number 1 is to pull out these cables, uncleat it and take out that earth cable along with that Cat 5. Remove all the old clips and then start working on the old CTs. Rather than putting the CTs inside the meter box, on this occasion they've been installed inside the consumer unit. You've got one CT around the solar circuit and the second CT around the meter tails, which is doing the load curtailment. The Hypervolt has its own CT which monitors the solar and load curtailment, but I'll be installing it inside the meter box. So as I won't be reusing these CTs, I'm simply just going to cut them out, remove the cable to the old EV charger, put the cover back on, and that's it, we're basically there. And that is the old install out. You're going to see a few differences between my installation and the old installation, and the first one is I need to prepare a cable route for my meter tails to pass through so I can connect them up here. So I want to fish my meter tails through that hole, and there's only that obviously the garage wall to get them through now. I want to get as close as I can to the other consumer unit to get a nice straight trunking run. And the way that I'm going to measure that is by using the gas pipe. This is the gas pipe coming through the wall there, and I really would like my consumer unit to sit around here below the existing one to keep it sort of within this area. So in an ideal world, I'd like to bring my trunking down on this course, which would be 760 from the gas pipe. So now at the meter cupboards, 760, 760, 760. That's the gas pipe there. So 760 is approximately there, which means with the hole drilled there, and if I drill through that way, maybe at a slight angle, I should be able to fish those meter tails through there lovely and stick them in my terminal blocks. Now, if you're new to my channel, one thing that you're going to learn is I really hate seeing brickwork blown out, so I use these core hole drill bits. If you don't use it, that is what happens right there, where you saw the gas pipe come through. Now all I need to do is fish my cables through. I've just put a bit of a twist on it, and there you go, straight through, no problem. Now it's time to work on that trunking. But before I install my trunking, I've got to install my consumer unit so I can get a measurement for it. Sometimes these glands, the threads can be a little bit tight on here just because of where it's been painted. So if you've got one of these, or get yourself one of these little deburring tool and just go around the edges and the glands will fit much better. You can buy one of these on Amazon or something like that. Just search for deburring tool. I'm not really one for leaving links for everything. Next, 4 screws and that is fixed to the wall, and now I can get that measurement for the trunking. I'm going just below where the tails come through the wall just so I can conceal everything. And I'm going through a phase at the minute of using a multi-tool to cut all the trunking, and do you know what I found? You get quite a nice clean cut. So it kind of beats a hacksaw after all. That's the trunking cut, the lid cut, and now all I need to do is put a hole through the back, and you can see where the meter tails come through the wall for that. Connect it all up, and we're nearly there with that part. All I need to do now is seal up the hole, put a couple of tie wraps, put the trunking lid on, and there you go. That already looks better. That is the consumer unit nearly done. Trunking done, meter tails through the wall, ready for the 100 amp terminal blocks. I'll show you that later. This is where the upgrades are really happening. Remember that old crappy cable that I took out? This one here? So this is a solid core, high tough cable, and it's proper crap to strip, as you can see what they've done here. And that's no criticism to the guy who done this, because in all fairness, I can see that he's done the best he could and he followed the regs as far as he was aware. But the cable here is rubbish for sure. And I also had that white Cat 5 cable clipped as well. We're ditching that altogether and installing this Doncaster Cables EV Ultra. Inside this, we have our multi-strand 6mm cable and a shielded Cat 5. So we only have one cable on show. Looks much neater. And don't forget, these manufacturers, these wholesalers are selling other cable and they're selling it as EV Ultra. But if you read it, it doesn't say EV Ultra, because only Doncaster's is EV Ultra and the other stuff is rubbish. The next thing I'm going to do is prepare my cable route, and I'm using the D-line clips here as I normally do, and this is what they look like. And I'm just doing a demonstration here for you, so don't worry, I'm not going to shoot my finger off, but the D-line clips just sit on the end of the spit gun just like that, so you don't actually have to hold it if you don't want to. Then you can just push it up against the wall and fire it, and that's it. Job done. This is probably one of the best tools that I've ever bought in my entire life. So if you're a bit of a tool collector and you like firing stuff and making noise, get one of these. Now that is what I'm talking about. There's the Cat 5, which is required not for the Ethernet in this case, but it can be used for an internet connection. One pair is for the CT clamp, another pair can be used depending on the charger that you want for solar CT. The Hypervolt only requires one CT for the solar and the load management, and a second CT if you're monitoring battery, which we're not doing in this case. That leaves 3 other pairs for an Ethernet connection, and you can also get away with just 2 pairs, I believe. There are different types of EV Ultra. I'm using the high tough version. There is an SWA version if you're burying the cable, but where this is surface mounted, there's really no need for it. And the high tough version is so much more flexible and easy to work with compared to the SWA. As you can see there, I've dropped that Cat 5 back outside of the consumer unit, and I'm going to be putting that into a Wago box. That just allows anyone in the future who needs to change any of those connections with the Cat 5, they don't have to go inside that live enclosure. Now, recommending EV chargers to customers and other electricians can be a little bit difficult, and I've certainly learnt my lesson. Historically, what I basically went on was listening to manufacturers doing a great sales pitch, to be honest with you, because they need to push units, which I completely understand. And over time, I've learned of the units that fail and the ones that don't. So when I recommend a charger to a customer, I'm going on a couple of things now only, which is historical reliability for me. Other manufacturers get in touch with me and ask me to install their chargers, but without any sort of long-term history, I'm not doing it. I'm sticking to 3 chargers. The Hypervolt, because these don't let me down, or haven't done yet, not these units anyway. The Simpson & Partners, I've had 0 faults with, and the Andersons, 0 faults. So they're my 3 go-to. And if you want me to install a different charger for you, you're going to have to buy it yourself, so the responsibility of the unit falls on you. So unfortunately, the Myenergi I will only install if a customer specifically wants me to do it. Like I say, it's a bit of a shame because they're a nice unit to install and they do integrate really well with renewables. And if you're enjoying this video, by the way, this would be a great time, and I'd really appreciate it if you could just hit that thumbs up button, like and subscribe to my channel. Without you doing that, I won't be able to make these videos. With any of these chargers that I install, the first thing that I do is take that front cover and put it somewhere safely. Once I've done that, all I need to do is take off this next front cover, which is 2 screws, and that pops off. Drill a 25mm hole in the back because that is where my cable's coming through. I've removed the wall plugs and I'm just making sure this is nice and level before I fix back the bracket for the charger. Next, I'm core drilling another hole, and this one took ages. Because this is the 3rd charger now and it's been installed here, there are so many holes in this wall and these massive ones down here. And I don't want to put the Hypervolt all the way down here. I don't think it'll look very good, and there's a risk of it getting damaged when the client backs up in that unfortunate event that might happen. But anyway, I want to try and make these holes look a bit better. I had a YouTuber's nightmare here and I forgot to press the record button, but that's how it looks now anyway. Once I've popped my cable through the wall, all I need to do is strip it back. Nice and easy to strip this stuff, and then I'm going to get a little bit of sealant and seal up the holes. Once this is done, slide the charger onto the cable, clip it on, and then there's one screw at the top that you need to nip up. Then I have to nip up the stuffing gland for the EV Ultra and connect up the CT cable, and it just pops into a little plug there. Once I've ferruled up this end of the cable, that is ready for dead testing. But I'm going to get rid of this earth rod because, well, there's no need for it, frankly. So I've removed the wiring accessories, I'm going to remove the cable and just smash the rod in the ground until it's basically level, so no one stubs a toe on it. Now that's done and the dead testing's done, I can nip up these cables, put the first front cover on, plug in the plug for the LEDs for the EV charger, and then I have 8 screws around the outside of the charger just to nip up and make sure it's nice and sealed. Pop on the front cover, a further 4 screws, and fix the cable holster to the wall. That's the install part done, really. That is now the charger done, the holster done, dead testing done, consumer unit done, Cat 5 cables connected done, EV Ultra cable installed and sealed everywhere done, earth spike gone. All I have to do now, apart from live testing, is get that board live, and that is also done. The final touches, putting that Proteus consumer unit lid on the front, labelling it up, and then putting that flap on. The fact that you can remove that flap makes it so much easier to work with, so I really like that about this consumer unit. Commissioning this charger is super user or installer friendly. The app is dead easy to use. Again, another reason why I like it. You put it into test mode, which means you skip the random delay, and then at the end of the commissioning process, all you do is input the customer's email, and that's it, you're basically job done. This mega is doing my head in. This tester keeps telling me, I'll show you what it keeps telling me if it does it again. It's doing my head in. I think we've got away with it. It says something like battery power lost, use alkaline batteries or something, and then it just dies. Now just the RCD testing and I'm all done. Nearly. All I have to do now is give the charger a good clean up all of the cable and the plug itself before handing it over to my client, where I run through the app and how everything works, including all of the features and how to integrate it with Octopus. So many improvements have been made on this job, and it's all the little touches that really make a big difference, and I have now hopefully future-proofed this installation by using the premium cables, new consumer unit with spare ways in it, we've got surge protection, new meter tails, everything sealed up, all the old stuff out, far better. All of you lot are absolute legends, and I couldn't do any of this without you. So thank you so much. Hit that thumbs up button, like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all next week.